Alright, first things first. Let's get these wheels off. Yeah, it's cold out here. It's not as bad as it's been, but it's a little chilly. Got the camera kind of set up on the tie rod here. I might be able to do something better. After I get this wheel out of the way. Okay. So hopefully you can see. Now, this tie rod here has a really good bend in it. So, I'm going to replace it with the heavy duty kit. Let's get after it. First things first, we'll loosen up this nut. It's 18 millimeter right underneath here. If I can do this without hitting the camera. Okay. Came out pretty easy. I'm guessing this piece will not. And there it goes. If it does not come out easy, you could take a hammer. You still see this in the picture here. You can hit this to knock this loose. You do not want to hit the tie rod in. You hit this edge right here. Okay? Alright. That's pretty easy. Oh man. If you could see how bent that is. Look at that. Is that showing up on camera? I don't know. That's a hell of a bend. Spare parts. Alright. Let me start cutting some clips off. I'll be right back. Okay. My inner connector there is over the end of this boot. It was not actually a zip tie. It's a plastic clip. So I separated that with a screwdriver. I was able to lay down under here to see where this zip tie is at. That's all the way up on the front. I was able to cut the end of it off. So there's that. Now I'll work on getting the boot off. Well, that came off easy. That's good. All right. On to the next. Okay, I brought you in a little closer. So this popped off. This is essentially, let me get this out of the way some, right here. So I need to grab that with channel locks or something to get that loose. I don't think I have channel locks that are gonna be big enough to do. Well, these ones might barely fit, but I might not have enough pressure to loosen it. Because I've read it can be difficult, and I believe it. I'm not gonna get it there. I wonder, I'm not going to fit a crescent wrench in there. Might have to try and turn the wheel. Let's see if I can do that without collapsing everything. Go the other way. That's it. Let's see if that gives me a little more room. I wonder what size that actually is. If I can get an idea. Looks to be about 1 1/8 inches. I wonder if I could get lucky. No, it's a little too small, so it's bigger than that. There it went. We got lucky, I believe. It's that big, if you're wondering. Was able to get a bite on it. Didn't figure I would, so I'm just twisting the other end of the tie rod here until I get this thing all the way off. Ouch. Knock my head into the bumper. Okay. That's it. I'll pull this boot back over there where it was. Because this is still, it's going to be a spare part. Alright. Start working on assembly and installation. Alright, we've got the ball here, the socket. This is going to thread right into the stock location. I do need to grab some Loctite though. It did say to use it. So I'm going to put some blue Loctite on here. And get this thing run down. I'll tighten it by hand at first, and then I'll use the same adjustable wrench that I removed the original one with. Oof, this is awful close to. I'm gonna have to take this off, it looks like, just to get it lined up. I have to turn my steering wheel back the other way and give myself a little more space, but that's kind of worrisome. Because if I have that turned at full lock, that shouldn't be hitting my... It shouldn't be hitting my upper control arm there. So let's see. I'm going to have to turn it back out again to give myself the space I need to... Okay, that's hand tight. Give myself the space that I need. There we go. It's all the way out. Okay, let's try and see if I can get a bite. Tighten this guy down. Okay. It's not a lot to bite onto there, but I'm going to get this good and tight. Okay. Alright. That'll work just fine. Okay, on to the next. Okay, so I had to thread this. It's hidden, you can't see it, maybe you can now. I put this jam nut on there where it belongs. And I have slid the new boot over the new tie rod. This textured section goes outboard in the vehicle, so towards the wheel. So I'm going to go ahead and move this down here and get this threaded on. Get it started. And then I'm going to get the whole boot in position. I'll turn the steering wheel back over too, probably. So I'll get this all slid up and tucked away. Looking nice. I'll push the boot all the way past this jam nut. Okay, it was suggested to use some sort of lubricant on this. I sprayed WD-40 down inside of this boot. And one more thing to keep in mind is that the driver's side is the wider mouth boot to fit over this. The passenger side is a little bit skinnier. So I'm gonna push that all the way up for now, past this jam nut. It's probably gets seated right there actually. So I'll get this back over where it belongs, and then it feels like that sat right on there. It's easier than I was expecting. And then I'll get that zip tie. They provided the zip ties, so I'll use one of their zip ties. And all right, so I started from the bottom, fished it up right through the bottom here, and was able to get it looped back around. Now I'm just checking to make sure that everything is seated where I want it to be. And the zip tie is right on the edge where I want it. Just working by feel. So, and then with that, I'll tighten her up. That feels good. I'll cut that excess off there with my little clippers. Apparently I need some new ones. Okay, let's go to the next step. Okay, so I wanted to demonstrate quickly how these ends get built. Okay, first of all, this kit comes with two. The ones that have the straight through bolts, these are for 2014 and older. Okay, the newer ones come with these tapered studs. If you could see with my dirty paws. So basically, this stud, the tapered end, goes down. It drops into that hole where I took the other tie rod out. Okay, you'll add a nut to the bottom, tighten that thing down. There's holes in the top and the bottom. Run a cotter pin through. Okay, after that, tie rod end goes right on top. Okay, there's a jam nut that goes on the end. Now, this is not right hand thread. This is not normal. Okay, so take your time. Remember, lefty is tighty in this situation. Okay, misalignment spacer. This will go just like that. So the angled piece is on top. This will go on here. And lastly, a cotter pin will run through to make sure everything stays nice and tight. So that is the new tie rod end assembly. So now that I've showed you this, I'm going to get this installed and I will get back to you shortly. Okay. Got this stud dropped in, tapered end going down. I was able to get this tightened down. I actually used some pliers there to hang on to it because it's a nylock nut. So I didn't want to thread all the way down without spinning the top of this. So I'll torque that all down. It's just on there kind of tight for now. So it's time to install the tie rod end. Remember, this is going to be reverse threaded. Okay, so I got it started. I have the jam nut all the way down. And what I wanted to do was essentially eyeball the knuckle here for what I believe is straight. And that does not look quite straight to me. I think that's probably pretty good. Probably pretty good. So I'm gonna, oops, wrong way. Start bringing this in, and I have this threaded way in up here, but I want these to be about even. So this needs to fit. It should slide right over where I want it to. So it looks like I've gone in a little bit too far. Now I want to have about the same distance in threads from up here to down here. This is about the same amount of thread showing. Doesn't have to be perfect, but a little bit longer there. That's gonna do her. So we'll knock that down there. Check under the bottom. That's seated well. I got about the same distance of thread shown here. This is visually right. This is not going to be perfect by any means. Misalignment spacer, no problem. The top nut. I'll tighten this guy down. Okay. We have cotter pins for the top and the bottom. Just do that for now. I'll get those looking a little better in a second. Okay. Alright, cotter pins are in place. Now I'll need to tighten up the jam nuts. Take off the excess there. So I'm going to get these tightened down. Okay, so I still need to tighten up the jam nuts, but after I get the other side complete, that's when I will make sure that the tires are straight. I'll measure them. You simply measure the front of the tire to the center of the tire, a good point that you can duplicate measuring on the rear. You just make sure that the front of the tire, if it measures out to, let's say, 55 inches, then the rear of the tire, you want it to be 55 inches as well when you take the same measurement points. It'll tell you if the front is 55.5 inches and the rear is, 54.5 inches, that the rear is closer together, which means that your front tires are towed out, right? If it's the opposite, they're towed in. I've done this on a lot of Jeeps before. It's not difficult. It's really easy to get to this stuff. So just have somebody help you out and take measurements. But before I go, so I still need to do the jam nuts. And the last thing, I need to zip tie the zip tie that's farthest away outboard of the vehicle. The little one that goes up here on the top end. But look at this. I noticed that when I was putting the suspension lift on. If you could see, that is quite a bend. Comparatively, here's the new one. Maybe you could see this way. I don't know, this is a super awkward angle to be filming from. So this thing obviously took a hit. I think I know when it happened, but it bent down here at the threads. You could see, you may be able to see on the bottom or at the top, the threads are a lot closer together than they are on the bottom. It just pinched it in. So anyways, although I did do some riding with this, I'm still gonna keep it as a spare. I mean, hell, it beats being broke. It's still there. I'll be keeping the other side for a spare as well, but nonetheless, I'm gonna get into the installation on the other side, get this knocked out so I can eat some delicious food, some leftover barbecue, another hobby of mine. Maybe I should take some barbecue videos and post them up. Let me know if you guys would like that. Did some knockout ribs and a macaroni and cheese with chicken and buffalo sauce. Buffalo chicken mac and cheese. Delicious. Anyways, that's what I got. I'm gonna get this other side wrapped up. Might have one more little clip here at the end, but thanks for watching. All right, YouTube land, this is gonna do it. Well, not completely, but I'm pretty close. I'm gonna drive it around a little bit in the neighborhood just to make sure that the suspension settles back down and I'm able to take some measurements and make sure stuff's right, but it's in there, it looks good. Color works great for this one. It didn't take long to do this side, you know, as expected when I wasn't filming it. I mean, I don't know, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, I don't know. Maybe quicker. It was fast, but that's that. Front tires look pretty good for me looking down them, but the suspension's still sitting tall because it was just jacked up in the air. So that is going to wrap this one up. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions or anything I do to help out, get a hold of me, add a comment, send me a link, whatever. Hope you guys are gonna have a fantastic New Year, New Year's Eve, and let's get rid of 2020. I'm over this disaster. Thanks for watching.